In the vast expanse of the universe, where stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across an endless velvet canvas, there existed a planet unlike any other. Zarathia, home to the Zinthari race, was a world of shimmering crystal forests and floating cities that hovered above seas of liquid silver. The Zinthari were tall, elegant beings with skin that refracted light like precious gems and eyes that glowed with ancient wisdom. They had built a civilization that thrived on harmony, where every individual played their part in maintaining the delicate balance of their society. At the heart of this magnificent world stood the royal palace of Zarathia, a structure that defied conventional understanding of architecture. Its spires reached toward the twin suns, casting rainbows across the landscape as light danced through its crystalline walls. Within these walls lived Queen Zalara, the most powerful and revered leader the Zinthari had ever known. Her presence commanded respect not through fear, but through the natural charisma and grace that radiated from her very being. Queen Zalara's rule over the Zinthari had been one of prosperity and peace. For centuries, she had governed alongside King Vorthan, her chosen consort from among the noble families of Zarathia. Their union had been arranged according to ancient traditions, merging two powerful bloodlines to ensure the stability of the realm. Together, they had overseen the expansion of their civilization, the development of new technologies, and the preservation of their rich cultural heritage. Yet beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect existence lay something unexpected, a curiosity about the universe beyond their own world. Despite their advanced technology and sophisticated society, the Zinthari had maintained a policy of cautious observation when it came to other intelligent species. They watched from afar, studying civilizations that developed on distant planets, always careful to avoid direct contact. This policy of non-interference had been particularly strict regarding Earth, a peculiar blue-green world orbiting a modest yellow star. The Zinthari Council had long debated about humanity, fascinated by their rapid technological advancement coupled with their emotional complexity. Humans seemed to possess a unique combination of fragility and resilience, capable of both incredible destruction and breathtaking creation. Queen Zalara herself had spent many hours in the Royal Observatory, watching holographic projections of human activities on Earth. She found herself drawn to their art, music, and especially their capacity for love and sacrifice, emotions that seemed more intense and varied than anything experienced in Zinthari society. It was during one of these observational sessions that everything changed. A routine exploration vessel, sent to the edge of Zinthari space, encountered something unprecedented, a human spacecraft that had somehow wandered far beyond its usual territory. The encounter wasn't hostile. Rather, it was marked by mutual confusion and cautious communication attempts. The human vessel, damaged and running low on resources, transmitted a distress signal that the Zinthari immediately recognized as a cry for help. What happened next would alter the course of Zalara's life forever. Against protocol and centuries of tradition, she ordered the human ship to be brought to Zarathia. The decision shocked the entire council, but no one dared to oppose their queen. As preparations were made to receive the unexpected visitors, a ripple of anticipation spread through the crystal halls of the palace. Little did anyone know that this single act of compassion would set into motion events that would challenge everything the Zinthari believed about themselves, their society, and the nature of relationships across the stars. The arrival of the human spacecraft at the royal landing platform was met with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The vessel, battered from its journey through deep space, looked primitive compared to the sleek, crystalline ships of the Zinthari fleet. Yet there was something undeniably courageous about its design, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. As the airlock hissed open, Queen Zalara stood at the forefront of her welcoming committee, her gem-like eyes fixed on the opening. When the first human emerged, time seemed to stand still. Captain Alexander Drake, wearing a patched-up flight suit and carrying himself with weary dignity, stepped onto the platform. His hair was slightly disheveled, his face bearing the marks of fatigue, yet his eyes sparkled with a vitality that caught Zalara completely off guard. Standing at average human height, he seemed almost fragile compared to the towering Zinthari, but there was an undeniable strength in his presence. "Your Majesty," Alexander began, his voice steady despite the overwhelming situation, "I am Captain Alexander Drake of the United Earth Space Command." He attempted a formal bow, though the gesture felt awkward in the alien environment. "We mean no harm and are deeply grateful for your assistance." Zalara found herself unable to look away. There was something profoundly different about this human male, a raw authenticity in his expression that contrasted sharply with the carefully composed demeanor expected of Zinthari nobility. His eyes, a striking shade of green, seemed to hold galaxies within them, reflecting emotions that shifted moment by moment. Unlike the controlled emotional displays of her people, every feeling appeared to play openly across his face. As protocol demanded, an official reception followed in the Grand Hall of Reflections. Here, among the dancing lights and crystalline structures, Zalara observed Alexander with growing fascination. While her advisors maintained appropriate distance, she found herself drawn closer to the human captain. His movements, though less graceful than those of her people, carried an endearing earnestness. When he spoke, his hands animated his words with gestures that seemed to paint pictures in the air. During the formal introductions, Alexander's reaction to the Zinthari was equally compelling. His wonder at their crystalline forms wasn't masked by diplomatic pretense. Instead, he openly expressed his amazement. "Your beauty is beyond anything I could have imagined," he admitted, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "On Earth, we have legends of angels, but none could compare to what I see before me." This unguarded honesty struck a chord deep within Zalara. In Zinthari society, such direct expressions of emotion were considered improper, especially in formal settings. Yet there was something refreshingly pure about Alexander's approach. His appreciation wasn't calculated or politically motivated. It was immediate and heartfelt. She noticed how his gaze lingered on her, not with the predatory assessment of some alien diplomats she'd encountered, but with a warmth that made her crystalline form tingle in ways she couldn't explain. The cultural differences became even more apparent during the traditional welcome feast. Where Zinthari dining was a refined affair of subtle flavors and precise etiquette, Alexander approached the alien cuisine with enthusiastic curiosity. He sampled each dish with genuine interest, asking questions about their preparation and significance. When a particular delicacy proved too spicy for his human palate, his reaction, a mix of surprise and amusement, brought unexpected laughter from those present, breaking through the usual solemnity of royal functions. Perhaps most intriguing was how Alexander interacted with others in the court. Rather than maintaining the hierarchical distance expected of visitors, he engaged with everyone from royal guards to serving staff with equal respect and interest. His questions weren't just polite formalities, they stemmed from a genuine desire to understand. When he learned basic greetings in the Zinthari language, his pronunciation was terrible, yet his enthusiasm was infectious, earning him smiles from even the most reserved courtiers. As the evening progressed, Zalara found herself increasingly drawn into conversation with Alexander. His stories of Earth, of human struggles and triumphs, painted a picture of a species that embraced both its strengths and weaknesses with remarkable courage. He spoke of human art, music, and literature with a passion that made her crystalline heart resonate with unfamiliar emotions. The way he described simple moments, a sunrise over the ocean, the smell of fresh rain, the comfort of a loved one's embrace, awakened something within her that she hadn't realized was missing. The revelation struck Queen Zalara with the force of a supernova. As she lay in her private chambers that night, images of Alexander's expressive face kept surfacing in her mind, accompanied by memories of his genuine laughter and unguarded emotions. The realization hit her with startling clarity. The carefully cultivated relationship she shared with King Vorthan, built on centuries of tradition and political necessity, suddenly fell hollow compared to the raw authenticity she had witnessed in Alexander. Her thoughts drifted back to her marriage ceremony, conducted with all the grandeur and precision expected of a royal union. She remembered how their vows had been spoken with perfect decorum, their emotions expressed within the strict boundaries of Zinthari protocol. Every interaction with Vorthan had been measured, every display of affection calculated for its political impact. Even their physical connection, while pleasant enough, had always maintained an air of formality that now seemed stifling. In contrast, Alexander's mere presence had stirred something deep within her crystalline core. The way his eyes lit up when discussing his homeworld, the uninhibited joy he expressed when trying new experiences, these were qualities that resonated with parts of herself she had long suppressed. She recalled how her heart had raced when he had accidentally brushed against her arm during their conversation, sending ripples of sensation through her crystalline form that no Zinthari touch had ever achieved. The next morning, as she prepared for her daily duties, Zalara found herself comparing every aspect of her life with Vorthan to what she had experienced with Alexander. Their shared responsibilities as rulers had created a partnership built on efficiency and mutual respect, but lacked the spark of genuine connection she now craved. The ceremonial dances they performed together, while beautiful, felt mechanical compared to the natural rhythm she had fallen into while walking beside Alexander through the crystal gardens. Her mind kept returning to the moment when Alexander had asked about Zinthari emotions, his genuine curiosity shining through. Vorthan had never shown such interest in her inner world. Their conversations rarely ventured beyond matters of state and protocol. The realization that she had been living within these constraints for centuries without question left her feeling both liberated and terrified. As the days passed, Zalara found herself making excuses to visit the guest quarters where Alexander was staying. Each encounter revealed more about human nature, their capacity for joy and sorrow, their willingness to embrace vulnerability, their ability to form deep connections without the weight of centuries-old traditions. These traits, once considered primitive by Zinthari standards, now appeared as profound strengths that illuminated the limitations of her own culture. The weight of her position pressed heavily upon her as she contemplated the implications of her feelings. Divorce among the Zinthari royalty was unheard of, a concept so foreign that it might as well have been from another dimension. Yet the thought of continuing her life with Vorthan, knowing what she now knew about emotional connection, felt like betraying her own essence. The crystalline corridors of the palace seemed to close in around her as she wrestled with the magnitude of the decision facing her. Her handmaidens noticed the change in her demeanor. The way her usually composed exterior occasionally cracked to reveal glimpses of turmoil beneath. During council meetings, she found herself distracted, her thoughts constantly drifting to Alexander and what his presence meant for her future. The burden of leadership, once shouldered with ease, now felt like a chain binding her to a life that suddenly seemed inadequate. Yet amidst this internal conflict, a spark of rebellion ignited within her. For the first time in centuries, she questioned the very foundations of Zinthari society. Were their perfectly ordered lives truly fulfilling, or merely elaborate performances lacking genuine substance? The answer seemed to lie in the warm smile of a human captain who had stumbled into their world, bringing with him the promise of something more authentic than she had ever known. The confrontation between Queen Zalara and King Vorthan took place in the Crystal Chamber of Truth, a sacred space where significant decisions affecting the realm were traditionally made. The walls pulsed with iridescent light, casting prismatic patterns across the floor as Zalara stood facing her husband of countless years. Her crystalline form trembled with a mixture of fear and resolve, emotions that threatened to overwhelm her disciplined composure. "Vorthan," she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil within, "we must speak of matters that cannot wait." She watched as his gem-like eyes widened in surprise, unaccustomed to such directness from his queen. The formal pleasantries they usually exchanged seemed inappropriate for what she needed to say. "I have come to a realization," she continued, choosing each word with care, "about our union and the nature of our bond." The silence that followed hung heavy in the chamber, broken only by the soft hum of crystalline resonance. Vorthan's expression shifted from confusion to concern as he sensed the gravity of her words. "Our marriage has served its purpose admirably," she acknowledged, pacing slowly across the chamber floor. "Together, we have guided our people through times of prosperity and peace. But I must ask you, have we truly lived, or merely existed within the framework of expectation?" Her voice rose slightly, carrying an intensity that startled even herself. Vorthan moved closer, his crystalline form catching the light in worried flashes. "Zalara, what troubles you? Is this about the human visitor? Have they somehow influenced your thinking?" His questions carried both concern and a hint of defensiveness, revealing the cracks forming in their carefully maintained facade of unity. "It is not about influence," she replied, turning to face him directly. "It is about awakening. About recognizing that our perfection, our carefully orchestrated existence, lacks something fundamental." She paused, gathering her courage. "When I look at you, I see everything I have always known: duty, responsibility, tradition. But when I look at Captain Drake, I see possibilities." The chamber seemed to grow colder as her words settled between them. Vorthan's crystalline form dimmed slightly, a visible sign of his distress. "You cannot mean to suggest—" His voice trailed off, unable to complete the thought. "I do," she interrupted, her resolve strengthening with each passing moment. "I have given this much consideration. Our marriage, while successful by all traditional measures, has been lacking in something essential: true connection. Something I now understand exists beyond our carefully constructed reality." Her words echoed through the chamber, each syllable carrying the weight of impending change. "But the consequences," Vorthen protested, his voice rising. "The council, the people, our entire society, they depend on the stability of our union. What message would this send about our leadership, about the very foundation of Zinthari culture?" His arguments were logical, rational, everything she had once valued above all else. "And what of our hearts?" she countered, surprising herself with the depth of emotion in her voice. "Have we not sacrificed enough of ourselves to maintain appearances? I have spent centuries fulfilling my duty, but now I find myself yearning for something more, something real." She reached out, her crystalline fingers trembling as they touched his. "I owe it to myself, to our people, to explore what true connection might mean." The debate continued long into the night, their words creating waves of energy that made the chamber's crystals pulse with increasing intensity. Vorthen presented every argument he could muster: the political ramifications, the potential unrest among their people, the centuries of tradition they would be shattering. Yet with each point he raised, Zalara responded with a clarity she had never before possessed. "We have led our people through countless changes," she argued, her voice gaining strength. "Why should we fear leading them through this transformation? Perhaps it is time we showed them that growth sometimes requires breaking free from even the strongest bonds." Her words carried a conviction that surprised even herself, born from days of introspection and nights of restless contemplation. As the first light of Zarathia's twin suns began to filter through the chamber's crystalline walls, casting rainbow patterns across their faces, they reached an impasse. Vorthen's form glowed with a complex mixture of emotions: hurt, understanding, pride, and ultimately, resignation. He recognized in Zalara's eyes a determination that could not be swayed, a resolve born of something deeper than mere infatuation with a foreign visitor. "This decision will change everything," he warned, his voice heavy with the weight of their shared history. "But if your heart is truly set on this path, then perhaps it is a change that needs to happen." His acceptance, though reluctant, carried the grace of a true leader, someone who understood that sometimes personal sacrifice was necessary for greater evolution. The news of Queen Zalara's decision spread through the crystalline halls of the palace like a shockwave, rippling through every level of Zinthari society. Courtiers and council members gathered in anxious clusters, their usually composed faces displaying unprecedented levels of concern. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with urgent discussions as advisors scrambled to assess the potential consequences of their queen's unprecedented choice. Some feared immediate political instability, while others worried about setting a dangerous precedent that could undermine centuries of social order. Among the common citizens of Zarathia, reactions varied from shock to curiosity. In the floating markets of Xylora City, traders paused their business to discuss the implications of their queen's actions. Families gathered around their crystal communication devices, watching repeated broadcasts of the official announcement. Many expressed concern about what this meant for their carefully structured society, while others found themselves intrigued by the possibility of change. Younger generations, particularly those who had grown up watching human transmissions intercepted by Zinthari monitoring stations, seemed surprisingly supportive of their queen's bold move. Captain Alexander Drake found himself at the center of a storm he had never anticipated. Confined to his quarters by royal decree, ostensibly for his protection, he struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what was happening. Through his window, he watched as crystalline forms gathered in the courtyards below, their prismatic reflections catching the light in patterns that seemed more agitated than usual. His human heart raced as he processed the reality that his mere presence had sparked such monumental change. Royal guards, normally stoic and unwavering in their duties, displayed unusual tension as they patrolled the corridors near Alexander's quarters. Their crystalline weapons, typically held with casual confidence, now seemed gripped more tightly, as if anticipating potential unrest. Even the serving staff who brought his meals moved with nervous energy, their usually graceful steps hurried and their eyes darting frequently toward the windows. Within the royal family itself, the reaction was perhaps most complex. Princess Lorana, Zalara's youngest daughter, visited Alexander secretly, her crystalline form glowing with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. "You must understand," she whispered. "This goes against everything we've ever known. But I believe Mother is right to follow her heart." Her support, though tentative, represented a significant shift in perspective among the younger generation of royals. Meanwhile, King Vorthan had withdrawn to the Eastern Tower, a place of solitude traditionally used for deep reflection. His absence from public view only fueled speculation among the courtiers. Some interpreted it as a sign of weakness, while others saw it as a dignified response to an impossible situation. The king's closest advisors worked tirelessly to manage the crisis, drafting official statements and preparing contingency plans for various possible outcomes. In the scientific community, debates raged about the biological implications of interspecies relationships. Xynthari biologists, who had previously dismissed human physiology as too primitive for serious study, now found themselves scrambling to understand the compatibility between their species. Theories about crystalline human hybridization circulated through academic circles, adding another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. The media, both official channels and underground networks, exploded with analysis and speculation. Holographic projections of Queen Zalara and Captain Drake appeared in public squares, accompanied by heated discussions about the future of Xynthari society. Some commentators praised the Queen's courage, seeing it as a necessary step toward cultural evolution. Others warned of potential disaster, predicting everything from social upheaval to genetic contamination. Amidst this chaos, Alexander grappled with his own conflicting emotions. The weight of responsibility for sparking such dramatic change pressed heavily on his human shoulders. Memories of his initial mission, a routine exploration that had gone terribly wrong, seemed trivial compared to the current situation. He found himself questioning whether his presence was truly beneficial or if he was inadvertently destroying a civilization he had come to admire. As days turned into weeks, the situation evolved in unexpected ways. Groups of Xynthari citizens began organizing peaceful demonstrations, some supporting the Queen's decision, others protesting against it. Floating banners with crystalline inscriptions drifted through the skies of Zarathia, carrying messages that ranged from hopeful to fearful. The city's usual harmonious atmosphere gave way to a tense but fascinating dynamic, as if the entire planet was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Through it all, Queen Zalara remained resolute, conducting her duties with a calm determination that inspired both admiration and concern. Her daily appearances in the Crystal Gardens drew crowds of curious onlookers, many hoping to catch a glimpse of the human who had captured their queen's heart. The unfolding drama seemed to touch every aspect of Xynthari life, from the highest levels of government to the simplest daily interactions among citizens. The growing connection between Queen Zalara and Captain Alexander unfolded in stolen moments throughout the palace's crystalline corridors. During these encounters, they discovered that their differences created bridges rather than barriers. Alexander's human curiosity about Xynthari culture transformed into genuine appreciation as Zalara introduced him to the nuances of her world. She showed him the crystal archives, where memories of centuries past were stored in prismatic formations, explaining how each color represented different emotional states recorded by their ancestors. Their conversations often stretched late into the night, covering everything from the philosophical to the mundane. Alexander shared stories of Earth's diverse cultures, while Zalara explained the intricate social structures of Xynthari society. They laughed together at the challenges of translation, finding humor in the literal interpretations of idioms. When Alexander explained the concept of butterflies in the stomach, Zalara's crystalline form actually began to resonate with a similar sensation, much to their mutual delight. The physical aspects of their relationship developed with cautious wonder. Alexander discovered that gentle touches could create beautiful patterns in Zalara's crystalline skin, while she found that his human warmth could generate unique resonances within her structure. They spent hours exploring these sensations, learning how to communicate through touch as well as words. Simple gestures, a hand on her arm, a brush of fingers, became a language of their own, speaking volumes about their growing bond. Their shared experiences led to profound revelations about both their species. Zalara began to understand the depth of human emotional expression, while Alexander grasped the complexity of Xynthari emotional resonance. They found that their differences complemented each other perfectly, his openness helping her break free from rigid protocols, while her refined sensibilities taught him new ways of experiencing the world. Each day brought new discoveries, deepening their connection in ways neither had anticipated when they first met. As their relationship blossomed, both Queen Zalara and Captain Alexander found themselves confronting mounting challenges that tested their resolve. The political pressure intensified daily, with factions within the Xynthari government actively working to undermine their union. Conservative elements of the council began pushing for emergency legislation that would prevent any further contact between humans and Xynthari, citing concerns about cultural contamination and genetic integrity. Rumors of assassination plots against Alexander circulated through the palace corridors, forcing Zalara to increase security measures around her human companion. Personal doubts plagued them both in quiet moments. Alexander wrestled with guilt over potentially destabilizing an entire civilization, while Zalara struggled with the knowledge that her choices might divide her people. Late at night, in the privacy of her chambers, they would share these fears, their voices barely audible over the humming crystals. "Am I being selfish?" Zalara would ask, her form dimming with uncertainty. "No," Alexander would respond, taking her crystalline hand in his. Sometimes the hardest choices lead to the greatest growth. Their attempts to bridge the cultural gap faced constant obstacles. Traditionalists within the court refused to acknowledge Alexander's presence at formal functions, creating awkward situations where half the room would turn their backs as he entered. The language barrier, though improving, still caused misunderstandings that sometimes led to diplomatic incidents. A simple misunderstanding about Zinthari gift-giving customs nearly resulted in a major breach of protocol when Alexander offered Zalara a handmade earth trinket during a formal ceremony. Security threats became increasingly sophisticated. An attempt to sabotage Alexander's living quarters revealed a network of opposition that reached higher in the government than either had suspected. Zalara's closest advisors began pressuring her to reconsider, presenting detailed reports on the potential economic and social impacts of her decision. The strain showed in their appearances. Alexander's human frame grew thinner from stress, while Zalara's crystalline form lost some of its usual luster. Yet amid these challenges, moments of pure connection kept their spirits alive. They discovered that their differences could become strengths when facing adversity together. Alexander's human problem-solving skills complemented Zalara's Zinthari strategic thinking, allowing them to navigate complex situations with innovative solutions. When traditional healing methods failed to address Alexander's adjustment to Zarathia's atmosphere, Zalara combined Zinthari medical knowledge with human pharmaceutical principles to develop a successful treatment. Their shared experiences began reshaping both their perspectives. Alexander's initial idealism about Zinthari society gave way to a more nuanced understanding of its complexities, while Zalara's views on human nature evolved from academic curiosity to deep appreciation. They started documenting their journey, creating a record of their experiences that might help future generations understand the value of cross-species relationships. These recordings became their sanctuary, a place where they could express their hopes and fears without judgment. The political landscape continued to shift unpredictably. Some progressive factions began publicly supporting their union, seeing it as an opportunity for cultural evolution. Younger Zinthari, particularly those who had grown up studying human transmissions, formed advocacy groups promoting greater understanding between species. This growing movement provided some hope, though it also intensified the divide within Zinthari society. Public debates became more heated, with both sides presenting increasingly extreme arguments. Through it all, their determination never wavered. Each obstacle overcome strengthened their bond, teaching them that true connection required more than just shared moments of happiness. It demanded the courage to face challenges together. As they navigated this complex web of political intrigue, cultural differences, and personal doubts, they discovered that their relationship had become something greater than either had imagined. It had transformed from a personal connection into a symbol of potential unity between species, carrying implications far beyond their individual lives. The situation on Zarathia reached a critical point as the planet prepared for the upcoming celestial convergence, a rare astronomical event that traditionally marked significant decisions in Zinthari society. Queen Zalara announced that she would use this occasion to formally address the future of her relationship with Captain Alexander, setting off a chain reaction of events that would test the limits of Zinthari tradition and human adaptability. The convergence of Zarathia's twin suns and 3 moons created a celestial dance that bathed the planet in shifting colors, mirroring the turbulence in its society. In preparation for this momentous occasion, Zalara initiated a series of unprecedented reforms. She proposed the establishment of a cultural exchange program, inviting representatives from Earth to visit Zarathia under carefully controlled conditions. This decision sparked immediate controversy, with conservative factions arguing that exposure to human ways would corrupt Zinthari society. However, support for the program grew unexpectedly strong among younger generations and progressive thinkers, who saw it as an opportunity for mutual growth. Alexander found himself thrust into the role of ambassador between worlds, a responsibility that weighed heavily on his human shoulders. Through encrypted communications with Earth, he coordinated the selection of delegates while navigating the complex politics of the Zinthri court. The challenge became even more complicated when Earth's governments learned of his relationship with Zalara. Some saw it as a threat to human independence, while others viewed it as a chance to establish a powerful alliance. As the date of the celestial convergence approached, mysterious occurrences began disrupting the preparations. Key documents vanished from secure archives, diplomatic messages were intercepted and altered, and several promising exchange candidates withdrew under suspicious circumstances. The palace's crystalline security systems detected patterns suggesting coordinated sabotage, but identifying the culprits proved elusive. Zalara's advisors urged caution, warning that proceeding with the exchange program during such instability could have catastrophic consequences. The tension reached new heights when a group of radical traditionalists staged a demonstration at the Crystal Forum, demanding the immediate expulsion of all humans from Zarathia. Their protest coincided with the arrival of the first Earth delegation, creating a potentially explosive situation. Zalara faced the daunting task of balancing her people's safety with her commitment to fostering understanding between species. She implemented enhanced security measures while maintaining her resolve to proceed with the planned events. Behind the scenes, a faction of moderate Zinthri nobles began quietly building support for a compromise solution. They proposed establishing a neutral zone where humans and Zinthri could interact without threatening either culture's integrity. This idea gained traction among certain segments of society, though it faced strong opposition from both extremes of the debate. Meanwhile, Alexander worked closely with Princess Lorana to develop educational programs that would help both species better understand each other's values and traditions. The approaching convergence created strange phenomena across the planet. Crystalline structures resonated with unusual frequencies, causing temporary disruptions in communication networks. Some interpreted these occurrences as omens, while scientists worked feverishly to understand their cause. The changing atmospheric conditions affected both Zinthri and human physiology, requiring rapid adjustments to medical protocols and environmental controls. As the final preparations unfolded, unexpected allies emerged from unlikely places. Several senior council members who had initially opposed Zalara's decision began expressing support for limited cultural exchange, citing historical precedents of successful adaptation. Their conversion, though gradual, helped shift the balance of power within the government. At the same time, Earth's representatives demonstrated remarkable flexibility in accommodating Zinthri customs, earning respect from even the most skeptical observers. The stage was set for a historic moment that would determine not just the fate of Zalara and Alexander's relationship, but the future of interspecies relations between Earth and Zarathia. With each passing hour, the planet's atmosphere grew heavier with anticipation, the crystalline spires of the palace catching the converging light of suns and moons in patterns that seemed to pulse with a heartbeat of an entire civilization waiting to witness what might become its greatest transformation or its most profound crisis. As the celestial convergence peaked, Queen Zalara stood atop the crystal spire, her form glowing with an otherworldly light. Below her, a sea of Zinthri citizens gathered, their crystalline bodies reflecting the celestial dance above. Captain Alexander stood by her side, his human presence both out of place and profoundly fitting amidst the alien grandeur. Together, they addressed the planet, their voices resonating through the air. "This is not the end of tradition," Zalara declared, "but the beginning of evolution. Our unity will not weaken us, it will strengthen us." Her words hung in the air, met with a mix of cheers and murmurs of dissent. Alexander added, his voice steady, "We are here to learn, to grow, and to build something neither of our species could achieve alone." The crowd's reaction was electric, a tidal wave of emotion rippling through the assembly. Some bowed in respect, while others turned away in protest. Yet, amidst the chaos, a group of young Zinthri stepped forward, their forms shimmering with determination. They raised their hands in a gesture of solidarity, sparking a chain reaction among the crowd. Suddenly, the sky erupted in a cascade of colors as the twin suns aligned perfectly with the moons. The convergence bathed the planet in a radiant glow, momentarily silencing all conflict. In that fleeting moment, the boundaries between human and Zinthri seemed to blur, their shared awe transcending differences. Zalara reached for Alexander's hand, their contrasting forms creating a harmony that spoke louder than any argument. Around them, the palace's crystals began to resonate in a symphony of light, as if the planet itself approved of their union. The message was clear: change would come, whether welcomed or resisted. As the convergence faded, leaving behind a tranquil twilight, Zalara turned to her people one last time. "Let this be our turning point," she said softly, yet with unshakable resolve. "A new chapter for Zarathia, for Earth, and for all who dare to dream beyond the stars." With those words, the fate of two worlds hung suspended, ready to embrace the unknown together, or to face the consequences of division. And so, beneath the fading light of the celestial spectacle, the story of Zalara and Alexander became more than just theirs. It became a beacon for unity across the cosmos.